This video is going to make a lot of people angry. And I'm not trying to start a war in the comments, but we need to settle this Bitcoin versus XRP debate once and for all. Here's the thing. Most people arguing about these two don't actually understand what they're arguing about. They think it's like choosing between Coke and Pepsi, when really, it's like choosing between a race car and a submarine. They're built for completely different purposes. And if you don't understand that, you're missing the entire point. By the end of this video, you're either going to realize that you've been wrong about one of these, or you're going to understand why this whole debate is ridiculous in the first place. Because here's the truth. Bitcoin and XRP aren't really competitors. They're solving completely different problems in completely different ways. Hey, I'm Brandon, and welcome back to My Money Mint, the channel where I break down everything about money, investing, and building wealth. All right, let's get into it. Before we dive into the chaos, we need to understand something that confuses the hell out of most people. When we talk about Bitcoin or XRP, we're actually talking about two different things that get lumped together. There's the network, and there's the token. And understanding this difference is crucial, because most arguments miss this completely. Think of the network like a subway system. It's the infrastructure, the rails, the stations, the technology that makes everything work. The Bitcoin network is like having this massive subway system that's incredibly secure, but maybe not the fastest way to get around. Then you have the token, which is like your subway card. It's what you need to use the network. The value of your subway card depends on how useful the subway system is. If the subway goes everywhere you need to go, reliably and safely, then that subway card becomes valuable. So Bitcoin, the network, is this incredibly secure, decentralized system that nobody controls. Bitcoin, the token, is what you need to use that network, and its value comes from how much people trust and want to use that network. Same thing with XRP. The XRP ledger is the network, the infrastructure. XRP, the token, is what you use to access and utilize that network. Now here's where it gets interesting. These networks were designed to solve completely different problems. And once you understand what problems they're trying to solve, the whole Bitcoin versus XRP debate starts to look pretty silly. Bitcoin was born out of the 2008 financial crisis, whether that timing was coincidental or not. We're not here to debate conspiracy theories. But Bitcoin was specifically designed to solve something called the double spend problem. Before Bitcoin, anything digital could be copied infinitely. Music, movies, even money. Digital dollars only work today because we have central authorities, like banks and PayPal, that keep track of everything in their databases to make sure you can't spend the same dollar twice. But here's the problem. You have to trust these institutions completely. They can freeze your account, reverse your transactions, or change the rules whenever they want. Bitcoin said, what if we don't need to trust anyone? Bitcoin created a system where no central authority exists. The only authority is the code itself, and that code can only be changed if the majority of the network agrees. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin. Ever. That's hard-coded into the system. No government, no CEO, no founder can just print more without everyone else agreeing. This works through something called proof of work, where miners use electricity and computational power to secure the network. In return, they get rewarded with Bitcoin. It's like having thousands of people around the world all working together to maintain this incredibly secure ledger without anyone being in charge. Now XRP? XRP is trying to solve a completely different problem. While Bitcoin is targeting the store of value and sovereign money use case, XRP is specifically targeting the inefficiency of cross-border payments. Let me explain how sending money internationally actually works today, because most people have no idea how broken this system is. Let's say you want to send $1,000 to your friend in Japan. You might think your bank just sends dollars across the ocean instantly. Nope. That's not how it works at all. Instead, your bank has what are called correspondent banking relationships. They have pre-funded foreign currency accounts sitting in banks all over the world. These accounts are just sitting there with trillions of dollars locked up, waiting for international payments. So when you send money to Japan, your US bank deducts dollars from your account, then tells their partner bank in Japan to deduct yen from the US bank's pre-funded account. and that yen goes to your friend. Think about how insane this is. Banks have to keep massive amounts of money, just sitting there in accounts all over the world, just in case someone wants to send an international payment. It's like having safety deposit boxes full of cash in every country, just waiting around. This creates two massive problems. First, all that capital is just sitting there idle. It can't be used for investing, lending, or anything productive. Second, banks face foreign exchange risk because currency values change while these payments are being processed. XRP was designed to be a bridge asset that solves both problems. Instead of banks needing to hold foreign currency everywhere, they could just hold XRP. When someone wants to send money internationally, the bank buys XRP with dollars, sends the XRP to the destination bank in 3 to 5 seconds, and that bank sells the XRP for whatever local currency they need. This could free up trillions of dollars in capital that's currently just sitting around doing nothing. And it eliminates the foreign exchange risk because the whole transaction happens in seconds instead of days. Now here's where the speed difference becomes crucial. During busy periods, Bitcoin gets congested, transactions slow down even more, and fees spike because people bid against each other for limited block space. This makes Bitcoin impractical for everyday payments. XRP settles transactions in 3 to 5 seconds. The fees are fractions of a penny, and the network is designed to scale so it doesn't get slower or more expensive when more people use it. Now here's where things get controversial, and where a lot of the Bitcoin versus XRP hate comes from. XRP has this company called Ripple behind it, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. When the XRP ledger was created, all 100 billion XRP tokens were pre-mined, not gradually released like Bitcoin. All of them created at once. Then 80% of all XRP was donated to this company called Ripple. So Ripple, a for-profit company, owns about 50 billion XRP. That's roughly half of all XRP that will ever exist. They keep it in an escrow that releases a certain amount every month, and Ripple can sell that XRP on the open market. This is where Bitcoin maximalists lose their minds. They see this and scream, centralization, corporate control, not real crypto. And look, their concerns aren't completely invalid. Having one company control half the supply of a cryptocurrency is unusual. It does raise questions about decentralization and control. But let's think about this rationally. Ripple is a for-profit company valued at about $15 billion. They own 50 billion XRP. What do you think they want to happen to the price of XRP? Do they want it to go up or down? It's pretty obvious, no? Right? Ripple has every incentive to make XRP more valuable. They're accountable to shareholders. They exist in a capitalist system. Making XRP worthless would be corporate suicide. Here's a fun fact most people don't know. One of Ripple's co-founders, Chris Larsen, owns about 2.6 billion XRP. His net worth is close to $10 billion. In 2018, when XRP hit its all-time high, he briefly had a higher net worth than Mark Zuckerberg. The point is, Ripple and its founders have no reason to want XRP to fail. The monthly release of XRP from escrow allows them to fund operations and develop more use cases for the network. It's not some scheme to dump on retail investors. It's a business model designed to grow the ecosystem. Could they abuse this power? Theoretically, yes. But it would be financial suicide. They'd be destroying their own wealth and the value of their company. So how do we actually value these different networks and tokens? Because most people just look at price and think that's the whole story. Bitcoin is often called digital gold. And for good reason, it's designed to be a store of value. Its value comes from network adoption, digital scarcity, and trust. The more people who use and trust Bitcoin, the more valuable it becomes. There's something called Metcalfe's law that applies here. The value of a network is proportional to the square of the number of users. This means network value grows faster than the number of people using it, because every new person can connect with everyone already there. Bitcoin also has a disinflationary supply schedule. Every 4 years, the amount of new Bitcoin created gets cut in half. Eventually, no new Bitcoin will be created at all. This creates predictable scarcity over time. XRP is different. Its value should come from liquidity and utility. The more liquid XRP becomes, meaning how easily it can be bought and sold, the more useful it is as a bridge currency for banks and payment providers. High liquidity reduces friction and costs in international payments, which should increase demand for XRP as a utility token. XRP also has a deflationary mechanism, but it works differently than Bitcoin. Instead of a predictable schedule, XRP gets burned with every transaction. The more people use the network, the more XRP disappears forever. This ties scarcity directly to network activity. So Bitcoin's value should come from digital scarcity and store of value adoption. XRP's value should come from transaction volume and liquidity utility. These are completely different value propositions. Comparing them directly is like comparing a savings account to a checking account. They serve different purposes. But beyond the technical differences, there's a massive philosophical divide that explains why people get so heated about this debate. Bitcoin represents revolution. It says, the current financial system is broken, corrupt, controlled by governments and banks that can't be trusted. Let's tear it down and build something completely new. Bitcoin is about opting out of the traditional system. It's digital rebellion. It's saying, we don't need banks. We don't need governments. We don't need central authorities. We can create our own money that nobody controls. XRP represents reform. It says, the current financial system has issues, and we are going to solve the fact that it is inefficient. Let's make it faster, cheaper, and more transparent. But keep the basic structure. XRP is about working with the existing system. It's saying banks aren't going anywhere, so let's give them better tools to serve their customers more efficiently. One is revolution, the other is evolution. One wants to replace the system, the other wants to upgrade it. And honestly, both approaches have merit. Maybe we need a completely independent store of value that no government can control. Maybe we also need faster and cheaper payment rails that work with existing institutions. The problem is that people treat this like a religious war. Bitcoin maximalists think anything that works with banks is evil. XRP supporters think Bitcoin is too slow and impractical for real-world use. But why does it have to be either or? Why can't we have both a revolutionary store of value and an efficient payment system? Here's the reality check that's going to make both sides angry. Bitcoin is probably not going to replace the US dollar anytime soon. Yes, it's digital gold. Yes, it's a fantastic store of value. Yes, it gives you financial sovereignty, but it's not practical for buying coffee or sending quick payments. XRP is probably not going to make every bank in the world abandon their current systems overnight. Yes, it's faster and cheaper. Yes, it could free up trillions in capital, but changing banking infrastructure takes decades, not years. Both networks face real challenges. Bitcoin's energy consumption is massive. Transactions are limited. During busy periods, it becomes expensive and slow. XRP faces regulatory uncertainty. The concentration of tokens in Ripple's hands makes some people uncomfortable, and banks are notoriously slow to adopt new technology. But here's what's important. These challenges don't make either network worthless. They just mean both are works in progress. You can believe that Bitcoin is the best form of money ever created and still recognize that XRP has valid use cases. You can appreciate XRP's speed and efficiency without thinking Bitcoin has no value. The future probably isn't Bitcoin or XRP. It's probably Bitcoin and XRP, serving different roles in a more diverse and efficient financial ecosystem. Bitcoin might become the ultimate store of value, the digital equivalent of gold reserves. XRP might become the plumbing for international payments, making cross-border transactions as easy as sending an email. Instead of fighting about which is better, maybe we should be asking, how can these different technologies work together to create a better financial system? Because at the end of the day, this isn't about picking teams or winning arguments on Twitter. It's about building technology that makes people's financial lives better. And both Bitcoin and XRP, in their own ways, are working toward that goal. So next time someone tries to drag you into a Bitcoin versus XRP debate, maybe suggest that they're asking the wrong question. The question isn't which one wins. The question is how both can succeed in their own specific use cases. What do you think? Are you team Bitcoin, team XRP, or team why not both? Let me know in the comments. And if this helped you understand why this debate might be missing the point, subscribe because I'll keep breaking down the crypto topics that actually matter to your financial future. Thank you for watching my Money Mint.